Apparently a jackalope eats cats. I didn't know that was a natural predator for cats. I don't know if you guys knew that. I didn't know that. I learned something new today. You know, I watched a lot of Animal Planet as a kid and Discovery Channel, but that was not one of the episodes that I recall. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's Saturday night, and we got some more Phobies action on tap, and we may actually have some more game reviews, so let's jump into it. Let's see what we have on deck today. What's good, chat? I see a couple people hanging out already. We do have some reviews, and I set up a different channel in Discord, which, by the way, if you're not already in the Discord, hit !Discord, or if you're seeing this over on YouTube, you can check it down in the description, talk Phobies or other game stuff. Random Thoughts community trying to grow the channel a little bit. But I set up a separate channel so that way I can try and collate the different submissions and things that people had, because there's a number of people that wanted me to do game breakdowns and game reviews. All right, so I'm going to assume that it is this game. I don't know if this is actually it, but it matches the description that I was provided, because it looks like it's supposed to be on like and subscribe. So we're talking about a viewer submitted game here, and there was a highlight that happens around turn 18, and we'll see what happens. Now, the person who submitted it is over here on the orange side of the map. Now we're jumping into like and subscribe as mentioned, and this is a pretty reasonable response from Amazing J. This is actually something that comes up a lot on this map, more often than I think people realize until it happens to you. It's one of those moments, and I'm working on this offline to try and have more resources for the Phobies community. So I'm working on some notation for how to describe, like, well, this particular opener is pretty strong, and then do a short write-up, but it's countered by this particular response from player 2, or it opens you up to this or that. And the alternatives, oh, well, I'm missing this phobia, so you substitute this one. And then you obviously can't account for everything in a given game, but this way at least gives people, okay, well, this is the general ebb and flow. If you play chess, like, I mean, I haven't played it in years, but I used to a lot when I was a kid. And it would just be, okay, well, there's certain openers that you want to try and set up so that you can try and get certain pieces into a particular place. But given the complexity of the game, better players may be able to account for a lot of moves or a lot of openers and then their potential counterplays. But I think we need to, crawl before we can walk and walk before we can run. We got to start with, okay, this is the baseline. This is what's quote unquote optimal. Let's try and take it apart, see if we can counter it, prove whether it's optimal or not, and then go from there. All of that is just to say that the way Circo opened this with Maggie to the center, you could also do this with Murderfly, any of the flying units that can reach the center space. Granted, in this case, it's only 2 keys for Maggie. Could have been a droney. It's not as valuable as a phobia as a Murder Wing, but this counter from Amazing J is exactly the problem. And many players have access to this. You can just fly up, you meatball, you pop it with a jar, bang, that thing gets incinerated. So now our orange player has a fairly significant advantage going into the second turn, at least from a key position. Now, it's a big map. It's both physically big and you get a lot of keys. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. This absolutely doesn't decide the game. This is something that you just have to keep in mind, where it's these little disadvantages that give up options early in the game can snowball and lead to losses later on. So, bad guy over here, because Amazing J was the one who submitted it, so we're going to go with them as the good guys, decides to go Cat into Hevo, which is reasonable. I can respect that particular opener. The Hevo, of course, is going to have access to the stim here. Amazing J can't really pressure it too much, but this positioning allows them to kind of stabilize some of the damage. Obviously, they're mirroring or balancing out the number of panic points and are able to bank a few keys as well. Now, the free shot here on Murder Wing is kind of whatever. I don't think it really matters. The Murder Wing's clearly going to be able to get out without too much trouble. But the Temptress here causes some consternation at the center point because you're not necessarily going to be able to contest it. Instead, we are able to capture the bottom point. Now, this is a little interesting here. And we'll talk about the follow-up. The good guys here elected to try and just pop the cat and bait this Hevo into staying. The Hevo can, of course, kill this Murder Wing. 2 hits, and that thing is toast. However, it now has to try and tank 1,000 plus damage or so from a Temptress. Now, it will, but that's like half its life total. That's an enormous amount of damage, and there isn't necessarily the follow-up in order to combat it. Because the K9000 came out and makes this Henrietta less threatening, mechanical can't get poison, plus it's a 2-key into a 1-key. Admittedly, if this was any other 1-key, the Henrietta might be okay, just because the poison will eventually get it removed. That 2-key Phobie, assuming it wasn't mechanical, probably just dies to the poison effectively. Something else will hit it once and it'll go down. But here, this kind of shoos the Henrietta away. Meaning that what are you going to do? Drop the Temptress down here? That's... You're tying up a 4-key unit for a 2-key, and it can't even get to it this turn, because it has to take the scenic route, because this block is here. Even if it wasn't there, it still wouldn't have the movement range to get there. Point is, you'd have to probably supplement the Hevo with the Temptress, and that's not a position you want to be in. So what's likely to happen here is that this Hevo walks away, because it could take this Murder Wing elimination, tank it, and then walk away the next turn, but it forces you into certain plays where you're probably going to have to get a Clinico online or a Muffin or something to heal this up, because otherwise you have 1,000 health Hevo running around, and Hevo is a very valuable resource on this map because of all the obstacles. Lobbing's great on every map, but we'll see how this goes. So we see the follow-up here with the Contortio and the Jar moving up to supplement. This Hevo has to walk away. There's no way that it stays here. I almost think Amazing J might have been better off allowing the Hevo to stay, just to tempt it. But in this case, the Temptress is able to get the stim. So they traded the cat for 4 keys. This actually works out fairly well for the blue player. They followed up with Moly Bully, Gesundheit down here to help push the K9000, not K91000, K9000 away. There is going to be a bunch of damage on this Hevo, but again, it's only softening it up. It can absolutely walk away at this point and then just do a positioning dance. But remember all those keys that got banked? Remember all those keys? Well, the big boss man himself decided to come down and play, and this is a big nasty. This is a big mean dude. Dimensional 8-key Phobie. It has an ability that's going to set the tile on fire. It's naturally going to set the tile on fire. Now, the fire from the ability lasts longer and does more damage, but this guy's big and mean. It's not going to, oddly enough, I guess it isn't hot enough to do extra damage to the mechanical Phobies and melt them. Only electrical damage, but, I mean, we'll put lore aside for the moment. This thing is absolutely going to push this stuff back. I don't know that it's worth... Boss be fun? Exactly, Doc. I don't know that the boss is worth committing up here. There is no way that your opponent is going to stay up here, right? Like, the Hevo has to run. The only reason I think to send it up here is if you want to control this stim, which is fine, I guess. But since you have to back off this point, and they're backing off this one, something, possibly the Hevo is going to go collect this top point. They're going to reclaim this bottom one, because the Gesundheit is going to threaten the K9000. So they recap it with Henrietta, or I'm expecting them to. So then they have 3-2, and you have to commit into them. I don't know that the boss up here is worth it. Like, coming around the top here, you can't reinforce very well. But I don't know that going through the middle is any better. Bottom line is, they get boss online, they can make a threat. Wish I had him. I wish I had boss as well. Curio, welcome. I'm not sure exactly what that was referencing, so I apologize. I might have missed that comment earlier, and it was in response to something that I said. So, we do see a Dr. Dermot come out in order to heal the Hevo. I mentioned Muffin and Clinico earlier, but Dr. Dermot, ironically enough, is one that I was talking about in Discord earlier today, and it hasn't, I haven't seen it all that often, so I don't know if it's just people don't have it or what. So we can see the great rotation starting to happen. The world is revolving, and we're seeing Amazing J, our orange player over here on the right, start to rotate everything towards the center, which you kind of expect. Now, the Temptress stayed up top, I guess, to threaten their Temptress from coming across and capping the top point. That's reasonable. And now we get into a weird scenario where right now, I don't know if either of these players have access to Moffat or any other pull effects. We'll have to see momentarily. But this is kind of the two concaves that always set up. You see this on a lot of maps, and I've seen this on this map fairly frequently, where it's just this staring contest and fighting over the middle. And one of the things, and why I wanted to pause and point this out, is call out, whoop, we gotta let it go a little bit so I can click on it, is the Mopsy here. Resurrect Phobies, as well as your one-key Phobies, do have exceptional amounts of value even on the large maps. Why? You don't want to commit something big like Boss to capture the midpoint. Clearly, this will go on the stem, this will move down, this will move down, it's in range of this will come up. It's going to get annihilated. So whatever sets foot on that point is going to just get incinerated as soon as you pass turn. So you don't want to commit something valuable, because obviously you want to keep those keys, right? That seems pretty obvious. Enter the cheap Phobies. It allows you also to bank. So what I've found on a lot of these bigger maps is that it tends to be a combination of, you have your early game, you know, you're bouncing back and forth, you're capping points, maybe getting some key trades here and there, but then it kind of evolves into tiny keys and big keys. So you have your 7, 8, 9s, and then you have your 1s and 2s. Mostly 1s a lot of the time. The exceptions being the Resurrect Phobies here, so that way you can try and cap these points. Your opponent has to commit again to step on the point. Now, I'll talk about why it may not be great in this scenario momentarily, but first I want to illustrate the idea that it allows you to also commit more big stuff to the board, more things that are more valuable. Now, you can try and argue the strategy of maybe going quantity-wise more medium things, but it depends on how your key scenario has evolved over the course of the game. It has come up in a lot of my games where you end up locking yourself or locking your opponent into certain strategies because they've already filled the board and can't play another Phobie. Leaving an open Phobie slot can be relevant, or sacrificing Phobies at the appropriate point in time. So, just throwing that out there. Now, the other piece I wanted to mention was the Resurrect. The reason I don't like the Resurrect here is because this is going to devolve into a cheap Phobie trading situation. What do I mean by that? Well, it's kind of self-explanatory, but basically this is going to step on the point, cap it for a turn. Then our blue player is going to commit, they're going to blow it up, they're going to send Henrietta, recap it. Then our orange player is going to send in K9000, recap it, and just keep trading back and forth and back and forth. As long as players have enough keys and they're aware of the fact that this is taking place, they're going to keep popping out a 1-key unit here, a 2-key unit there, in order to try and position them and just keep recapping that point. Unless there's something to break the parity. That's where Miss Moffat or Heartbreaker or other pulls come in, because pushes on this map aren't going to do well. There's nowhere to push. You can't Rambolina and boop something for a whole lot of value, generally. I'm sure there are going to be scenarios, but you need a Gravedigger out here in order to break one of the obstacles. You need a Miss Moffat for a pull so that you can isolate something, or at least force your opponent to back off and honor it. The threat of those effects can often be sufficient in order to try and either generate the advantage so that now you have the defender's advantage, meaning that you control the panic point, your opponent has to commit into you, and they have to come up with all these answers, or you just actually do the thing and yoink their boss and end the game on the spot, sort of thing. Maybe not literally end the game, but it's a big loss. But anyway, we're going to continue to see what happens. So we get the Moffat happening, we get the boss reposition, and we see a Scritch, which is a cool follow-up. Seeing Scritch is really cool, and it's kind of rare. You see Gonzo Bonzo because it's cheaper, but it's Scritch into Gesundheit, meaning that this is a very well-protected center point. But again, what I expect to see here is they're just gonna blow up this thing and then step on it with Henrietta. And it doesn't even require all that much. Now, The advantage here is that because Scritch is live, obviously Henrietta's not long for the world. So hypothetically, the boss can dive and do a ton of damage. Now, realistically, I don't think that's going to happen here. I take it back. As I say it, so the boss is going in. The big man himself is going to blow up this Temptress. So, I did not count it up. But our orange player may have counted it up and said, hey, they can't do 2,400 damage. Because we're going to get, 500 and change, 900. A Moly-Bully hit is like 15. They can only do, maybe if they commit with this, so 18. Then something out of here. I don't believe our blue player has played in Murder Wing. So if they have a 500-point meatball, they're getting close. But this seems like a calculated gamble that they cannot do this. Now, the problem is that we also didn't account for, in what I was just describing, didn't account for Hevo going onto the stim. So it's possible that boss just evaporates here. This is pretty ballsy, especially given that there are only 5 keys left. Whoa, so blue player elected to go north. What is... That is a bold move, Cotton. It's not quite forfeiting the... Oh, okay. I was going to say, it's not quite forfeiting the Dodgeball Championships of the world of the ADAA, but you're taking down... So, hold on. For anybody who's not aware, Boss's ability, You're Fired, as you can see, ignites all these tiles. So the Hevo stepped on the fire tile. The Jar stepped on the fire tile, all in the name of blowing up the Temptress that's up top. Now, admittedly, if they put the Hevo here, the Temptress was probably going to kill the Hevo. But they're going to kill the Hevo now anyway. I think Dozer's a cool play, but I don't know about this one. We'll see how it works out for him. Now, we're getting close to where the person who submitted this, Mason J, had said that there was a cool play coming up. So we're seeing Boss just go to work. Very fitting, I guess, right? Boss putting in some work and just light this thing up. Gesundheit goes in. Now, Gesundheit's going to take some fire damage, but, the burn effect lasts a lot longer than you might think. So we see a Gravedigger, which is a cool setup. We also see some cheap keys, like we were talking about earlier, help recap points, or in this case, and this is a cool play to call out as well, although it seems innocuous, just standing on the point here with the cat means that the blue player cannot recap this point this turn. They can't. They could kill it. Well, they can't even kill it, but assuming they could kill it, they still can't get on the point. Yep, viewer game breakdowns, Gilbo. So, going into turn 17, I think the next turn, turn 18, is when we see cool stuff. So, I'm guessing that... Oh, that's pretty cool. I've never seen Dozer's stun, we'll call it. It's no rush. So, what does this do? It prevents an enemy unit from moving. So, there's a little traffic cone here. That's actually hilarious. It's a little weird that he, vomits on you, but... I don't know. I guess... Because his attack animation, if I recall correctly, is he, literally rips part of himself out and throws it at you. I don't know what I expected it to be perfectly honest, but a traffic cone and him puking on you is absolutely not what I had in mind. I don't know. We'll keep going. So now we see Bo Mangles move in for some extra hits. Gesundheit repositioning. They're going to go beat up the cat. Oh, no, they're coming back here. Okay, fair. And now blue player's out of keys. Now, this is a rough spot for blue player because they are basically all in on this Dozer, but admittedly, orange player is also all in on boss. But the bad news for blue is that while the ability's down and while boss can't move, boss can still attack. Oh, and by the way, Scritch is in position to juice up boss, and Gravedigger's in position to break this, and the Scritch is on, this seems bad for blue player. Let's see here. So, oh wait, I didn't even, hold on, we gotta go back. I was busy talking about all that stuff. So we see Gesundheit hit the enemy stim. It tags the dozer. We get the Gravedigger play. Scritch, lighten up Bowmangles. Continuing to light up Bowmangles. A little more repositioning. Pops Bowmangles here. Alright, fair. Gesundheit goes down. And then Boss just lays into Dozer. This is not going to kill Dozer. But that was a pretty solid turn. That was a pretty solid turn and exemplifies one of the cool things that I think you can do on this map, which is blowing up the centerpieces with Gravedigger. It's not just about this one obstacle in the middle, but it allows you to do some really cool stuff. So we'll see how this game ends, and then we'll return to that turn. So we do see the invasion, we'll say, from blue player, but at this point, I think the writing is on the wall for them. They're aware of what's about to happen. Boss has its ability online. So we see the superhero smash. We start lighting up the dozer. Like, obviously this game is in the books, but this is pretty cool. And that is the ball game, folks. Dozer and Boss eat it simultaneously. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I do want to go back in, like I said, and look at that one turn. But that was a pretty cool submission there. Amazing, Jay. I don't know if you're in chat right now. But what was the actual turning point? I mean, I think this was actually pretty important, popping this on turn one. One thing that happens to me, and I mention this a lot, I don't know if this really happens to anybody else, but I tilt really easily for certain things. Like, there's certain things that are, we'll say, pet peeves of mine that tilt me, and incinerating keys on turn one like this is one of those things where it's just like, oh my god, they snowball plus whatever, and they were able to pop something that I thought was going to live, or in this case, Jar and Murder Wing, and blow something up. So this could have been a pivotal play, just from a psychological perspective, if our blue player did not see it coming. Now, this particular turn was not great from our orange player, but it ended up, obviously, long-term working out okay. And I question the positioning here on the Boss, but Boss was able to put in work over time. The Scritch play was actually pretty cool as well, in order, and I think this is, since we're going back through it, this was worth calling out again, that the Scritch allows you to break some of these parodies. When we went through the first part of it, I was talking about pulls, and I was talking about the Gravedigger plays, or Mount Crushmore, obviously, for these centerpieces. But Scritch serves a similar purpose, a similar function, in that it allows you to break parity because you might just be able to explode with a ton of damage and either one-shot something or put so much damage on it that you can actually dive and get something. One of the reasons that you have Defender's Advantage is it's difficult to dive in a lot of scenarios. You can't get on your opponent and then eliminate something. Just the way the concaves usually work. Most people will naturally spread their units out like this, and you're probably only going to get 1 or 2 hits on any given thing. Unless you super overextend, in which case, guess what? You're probably losing everything. So the Scritch is pretty cool because it gives you at least that flexibility to make something happen. Maybe blue players should have actually hit the Scritch here instead of the K9000, but... So this is where they dove. And I think this was a cool calculation that they knew that the Boss was not going to go down. Now, I don't really get this play. Granted, I don't think there was any way that they could have dove the Boss without trying to take this stim. I think we counted it up before, and it was possible to kill the Boss, but they probably would have lost just about everything else in return. I don't think Dozer was their answer. Hey, Joda, what's good? We're actually talking about your game. So we did go through the whole game. We're just going back through again because I wanted to get specifically back to that turn. I think your invade turn was actually a really cool one. I think your invade turn with the boss here was actually the really, like, might be the better one. But I think this was a cool setup, so that's why I want to get back to it. So we're leading into the pivotal turn as indicated by the person who submitted this game. So we see the setup from blue player. We see the Dozer go ahead and lock down boss here. We see Bo Mangles and Gesundheit get into position. We see Moly Bully also trying to get in position. We have a lot of things that are going to try and collapse on the invasion force, the beachhead that is coming from our orange player. But here's where one of the cool things that happens. You immediately see it at the start with the Gesundheit leading off onto the enemy stim, which allows a huge amount of damage to go down on Dozer. But then the follow-up is a really cool play by blowing up the obstacles here with Gravedigger and then just invading. You get the Cyclops moving up, you get your Jar moving up, you have Scritch in position, and now all of a sudden, the blue player is down to virtually nothing. They have almost no force, and if you note, they're out of keys. This is a really cool play and a great way to lock up the game when you know you have an advantage. Just take it down, and that's how you have to press advantages in Phobies. They lose all their range. Well, Dozer is still technically range, but yes. Basically, they had no shot at this stage. Like, they didn't have enough damage output. Losing those two, and that's why I think the invade turn was so important. I think the invade there set all this up. But this was pretty cool. This is also really cool. Like, it's just fun watching that happen. But I'm glad you sent this game in. This was really awesome. I like this one. Okay, so we're talking about a loss from DT, but there was a cool opener that he wanted to point out, so we'll take a look at that. I used a classic stabby opening. Nice. Yeah, let's take a look at DT's. I will definitely do yours tonight, Gilbo. We'll get that one in. So we're going to take a look at this. So this is another viewer-submitted game. Again, we're back on like and subscribe. Shout out to all those other people who hate this map, because you're in the same group as me. But this is actually a loss, and the reason why I wanted to get pointed out is because of how aggressive this particular opener was. So this was kind of interesting. We actually had a change-up from what we were just seeing on the previous review, and that is we saw a cat into jar opener from the blue team on the left side, which is a little different. Now, this particular response from DT, I'm not a huge fan of, but notably, this is a level 6 jar versus a level 8 jar, and I think this must have been calculated because this is only 506 versus the 508 health from this jar. I hope I did that math real quick right because, yeah, never do math on stream. Which, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, come on by the live stream, RTChompGG over on Twitch to check out some live Phobies action and other games. Got to get that in there. Oh, by the way, like and subscribe, just like the map. It does help out, believe it or not. But anyway, aside from the jar, we see an A wall. We see an A wall that goes up here to cap this point. That's fair. And we see a cassowary follow-up, which I think is reasonable. Now, I'm not sure about sending it to the middle. It will allow a quick cap in the middle, but it is very dangerous, and it's possible the follow-up from our blue player could push something bad to happen. Now, this is part of why I was pointing out the difference in the jar levels, because while the jar will not die, or would not have died, I don't believe, again, maybe I'm doing that math wrong in my head, it would not have died to attacks, which is a common thing, that if you advance your jar into their jar, they get 2 attacks back and they can blow yours up, assuming nothing else intervenes. But a jar on a stim does one-shot it, so ouch down. Population orange player. Now, that being said, they are forced to commit the cat in order to body block a wall from blowing up their jar. They also body block with the primate here, meaning that, again, I'm not a huge fan of this cassowary going to the middle. But we do have a droney in order to cap more points. The A wall goes over here and caps here. So we're seeing a ton of points go orange right now. In fact, 4 out of the 5. And the other one is uncapped, so it's 4-0. Keep that in mind for the damage that's getting done to the heart. But realistically, we're looking at pretty much everything here getting blown up. So AWOL goes down to the jar. We hit this one. Now, there's an argument that they could have possibly gotten... No, there was no way they could get the Murder Wing. But instead, we see a follow-up Cerberus. Yeah, that's what I was thinking at the time. That's fair, DT. I've gotten caught by a lot of that stuff, too. Yeah, Cerberus. The fan favorite, the channel favorite Cerberus. But we are able to see the primate go down. That's relevant to start cleaning stuff up. And we see, again, more aggressive pushes from our orange player, which I like. I don't know if it works on this map, and we'll see how it progresses. I mean, we know how this one ends, but maybe there's some other pieces of it that applied. Now, the blue player is trying to desperately reclaim points, and they are able to basically flip the table at this stage. And now it's 4 points blue, and we have a whole lot of very teeny tiny Phobies up against Cerberus and Baby Snaky. Oh, and by the way, a jar on a stim. Now, the jar on the stim is able to go down. The drone is able to snipe it, which is cool. Problem here is that I'm not... Like, this is not going to do a whole lot of damage. And the Murder Wing here is not doing a whole lot either. The follow-up here, Cerb, was the least of my problems. Yeah, you do have a lot more mobility, given the way you were playing it. But here's part of the issue. A big portion of the issue. All that stuff gets cleaned out. Now, the Cerberus could have been any other arbitrarily large phobie that could one-shot the Knight. But at this point, look at these panic points. Speaking of points, that's a lot of blue and not a lot of orange. So this Rambolina and this Murder Wing need to put in a lot of work. Now, there's a lot of damage being pushed thanks to the stim here. But we get a snowball hit, because snowball's always showing up. And we get a boop. But that Cerberus is going to be able to walk up and heal a whole lot. And this is something that you commonly want to look for in a lot of your games is, am I able to trade key positive? We'd have to go back and actually count it, but I imagine at this point that blue player is very positive, even if they end up losing this Cerberus. Which, I mean, they're going to here, right? There's way too much damage on DT side to not end up killing the Cerberus. The positioning on this cat is kind of bizarre. I don't really get that. But obviously the Rambolina is not going to be healing. It's instead going and picking stuff off, which is actually, this is a good follow-up. So, you're able to clear the Cerberus, you're able to clear this. The Rambolina is going to tank the hits from this, but will die with the Baby Snaky follow-up. So the question is, how do you answer the diving Baby Snaky, as well as trying to claim these other panic points? My first inclination would not have been Stabby. Although it's able to clear this cat, and there's an argument that you need to do so, because even the cat hitting the point is going to push a lot of damage. I wonder if leaving the cassowary... Could you have left the cassowary? If we go back a couple turns... This finishes it off. This comes down and hits the cassowary to one-shot it. Snowball comes back to hit this. Why did this come back? What was this thing's original health? So the Snowball did not have to do this. The Snowball could have gone down and capped a point, because the Stabby would have been able to fight the cat. Now, I don't necessarily agree with Stabby, and I agree with what Chad is saying, that the Stabby's just too slow, because while it's... Like, Stabby's fine in general, the issue is you can't recap these points. It's just way too much damage. And now the blue player is just pouring it on here. The blue player is absolutely just... I have the bully position. Even though there's still 12 keys available to DT, 7 of which this turn, realistically, they're very much in a hole. You can't even get to this bottom one now, barring something crazy, because the bottom one requires a 3-movement phobie. Snowball's already on the board, and we already saw Droney come out. So instead, we see a Blastomatic to try and contest, presumably, this Barzilla. Just other big dummies to zap him. By this point, I was totally panicking, not thinking properly. I can't blame you. I cannot blame you, because this is a rough spot. And I could absolutely see myself in the position, like on the stabby turn, where it's, I don't know what to pick, I'm running out of time, stabby's good, let's go with stabby. Okay, so there is still a 3-move phobia available, and in this case, it's actually Metabot. I believe this is Metabot. This is Metabot, so that's actually not bad, because while you absolutely need to control the majority of the panic points to try and make it through this game, part of this is also you simultaneously need to keep Blastomatic alive. You can't win this game without Blastomatic coming through. Now, the positioning here is unfortunate because obviously Stabby's going to eat it. Now, Grimes matters, but Grimes doesn't really matter. Simply because it's just another phobia at this stage. Any decent phobia is going to be a threat. We're able to at least pick some of these things off. This is... so you're at how much health? 500. I probably would have put something on this point and allowed it to die. Like, could the snowball have gotten to this point? 1, 2, 3, 1... Yeah, the snowball could have stepped on this point, and this would not have done enough to kill it. Snowball had to step on this point. Like, the reason I say that, even though you're not dead this turn, it needs to step on the point because you're gonna end up trading some of those points later in the game. And obviously Grimes was in position to take this. Like, you have to take the points while you can get them. Because just like we saw in the previous game, where a cat was sent up to the top where Grimes is now, just to sit on the point, so that it can't be recapped, it's a similar thing down here. Ironically, the only thing Grimes did was cap points. Yes. So, was there... I don't think there was a singular play. Well, I take that back. I was going to say that it was a lot of losing keys, like trading small ones, but you might have traded okay overall. But there were two major things that stand out. Obviously, the first of which is this. This was brutal, and I mentioned it in the last game, but this is another thing that absolutely, if I was in DT's position here, I was the orange player, I would have tilted off the face of the earth. This game was lost on this turn if it was me. Stream famous, shout out to YouTube. But yeah, if I was in DT's position, I would lose this game on this turn. I'm famous, I'm on TV. Well, I guess if you're watching Twitch on TV or YouTube on TV, yes. But this absolutely breaks my tempo. It breaks my train of thought, all my thinking, and the game is just over. But you can pull back from this position. I don't think that DT had a terrible follow-up turn, or the follow-up turns here. So remember, we're down 3 keys at this stage because of the jar. We're down 4 keys now. We're down 6 keys. But we pull 4 of them back here. And then we're going to get the other 3 here soon. Or we're not, because the replay broke. We'll have to go back into the replay. I've never seen it do that. That's kind of funny. So what's interesting to me is that they use the exact same psychological tactics I try to use. What exactly was that, DT? Like, which thing in particular? It was because I got to the end of the replay, and I think the game just... I don't know. That's a new one, chat. I haven't seen that. Aggressively make your opponent panic into making decisions. Yeah, inducing panic can really be a thing in these sort of games, where your opponent just feels like they're under pressure. Taking a lot of panic points, I mean, they're named panic points for a reason, right? So this was the follow-up turn. We're down, what, like 7... We were down 7 keys, we got 4 back, I think was what I said. I lost track because I needed to have, like, a key counter, which would actually be a cool thing. Shout out to the devs if you're listening. Add a key counter in replays so you can see... I mean, I could count it up, but, like, I just want something obvious. I guess we could do this. This is the easy way. So it's 1, 3, 6 here. and 7 here. So you're actually key positive. Yeah, Vault show it. But I just want it on, like, the base UI because I'm lazy. And this isn't terrible. I don't know about the Rambolina follow-up. Like, that doesn't seem spectacular. I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about that one. But now we're at... Let's see, that's 3... Yes, 3, 5, 7, 10. So we're back to being -3. -4. 5. Wait, does it already have it on there? 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So we're -5 keys right now. And we're actually in a pretty rough spot. I know we're repeating a lot of the same points, but I think the early jar loss was bad, and then this turn was not great. Like, the previous one. Reclaiming this point. I think it might have been better. Like, yes, snipe the jar, absolutely. I don't think Mopsy should have been here. I don't think this dive in here was worth it. Because this kind of set you up for failure because of the dimensional pull. It's like one of the challenge puzzles. I think it would have been better to have positioned these earlier to go cap the top and then try and reinforce with something big to help you fight Cerberus. You'd have to pull back in order to make sure that, you know, they don't just dive the murder wing. And that is problematic because you kind of need the stim in order to fight the Cerberus. But at the same time, I don't think this turn really gets you anything. Obviously, the Rambolina doesn't help that much because even a boop is only pushing it once, so we can just walk up and bop you again. And from there, I mean, we saw the dance back and forth. We talked about the stabby play. I think this does highlight a lot of cool stuff. I agree with DT that psychologically, this game probably... Like, the psychological effect of what the blue player did almost was greater than any strategic play they made, which I guess overall is a strategy also, where just tilting your opponent, inducing some panic from your opponent by pressuring them either via panic points or just sniping keys. It's something that, as any given player playing the game, that was a really weird way to put it, but as anyone playing the game, you need to be conscious of this stuff. Don't allow yourself to tilt games. I was joking about that on the jar loss on turn 3 or whatever, the game was over. For me, that is because of tilt. Like, I would tilt and then lose the game because of it. But you need to, in games, recognize that that doesn't mean the game is over. It's a mistake, but you can still come back from it. So this was a pretty cool one to highlight different things on the same map as the first game that we looked at. So that's pretty cool. But from here, like I said, we saw how it turns out. I do think that recapping this bottom point was important because obviously Grimes is going up here. You talked about the Stabby being less than ideal. Why was Stabby moving that way? I guess you could have only pushed it here and then trying to inch it up behind Blastomatic wasn't great, but obviously exposing it to this was not good. You probably had to leave the snowball. Since it didn't go down here, it had to stay up top because it has to cap some more points. But these are all... You know, I don't want to say they're irrelevant, but they're probably irrelevant. But this is a pretty cool game. It's a pretty cool game. So shout out to DT for submitting this one. All right, so let's jump into this one. So this is, for anybody watching this later on YouTube, which, by the way, likes and subscribes really do help me. I know it sounds, you know, like everybody does that, but it really does help. And if you want to see this live, come on over to the live Twitch stream, RTChompGG. But this is for Jelly Belly's event, and later on in the stream tonight, we're going to be also reviewing a game live with the man himself, Jelly Belly, or as well as their admins, I guess. So we'll see how it goes. I was wearing a mask for that. Yeah, I used to do that, and then I got yelled at by my teammates because I didn't want to put my mug on the internet, and then after a while, it was like, okay, well, we're doing this now, I guess. So let's jump into this game. So we are on Penny Dropped. We have blue and orange as the usual. What kind of opener are we looking at? We're looking at the infamous Stabby opener. Look at that. Look at this lone guy out here just hanging out on his own. He's just a guy all by himself out on the town for the night. Now, this is an opener that has become somewhat infamous in my Discord. And we see a response of Creep and Cassowary, which is kind of what I'd expect. Now, whether this... We'll see if this Creep... This is a level 8 Creep. It has almost 1,000 hit points. Not quite. But this Stabby is not going to kill this Creep. It's only going to do 880. So the Creep can get in, spit on the Stabby, and live to tell about it. Assuming no follow-up. Now, I imagine there's going to be follow-up. Now, blue player here elects to commit the Stabby anyway, which I can get behind, but we see the expected follow-up of mass 1 keys. Why do you want mass 1 keys? Well, you obviously were giving up some board control by going with the Stabby as the opener. So that means that you need to try and reclaim said board control with all of these 1 keys. Now, our orange player is doing something more traditional. While the Creep was kind of demanded because of the Stabby, the Cassowary is normal, and then their own Stabby makes an appearance. And like I said, this is somewhat more standard, I think. And this is also what we'll call the expected response, the Clinico, in order to heal the Stabby. There's an argument instead to just walk the Stabby away. It'll take a couple turns, but it could have walked away and just gone on the point. So while the Creep is threatening to Stabby, this particular map affords you multiple options to counter the counter, and in a reasonable way. Hey, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. A prime sub, even. I know we're breaking up the the flow here, but you got to take a moment to thank the subs. Much appreciated. Thank you. And welcome to the lunatic circus that is Random's Thoughts. Was that a new sub sound? It shouldn't be. Who was in the picture? Like, which toys were in the picture? Because that's how I have them, like, mentally cataloged. If it was the Alley Viper, the orange one with Michelangelo, yes. I just hadn't heard it in a long time. Fair. A lot of people resub and just do it silently. Get a little chomp action going. I like it. I like it. But yeah, the regular, well, when I say regular sub, it's just not a gift sub, and so it prime sub or a regular sub should get rolled together with the way Trigger Fire does it, but I'd have to check. All right, get a little hydrate action as we jump back into the game. But again, thank you. So the aggressive opener, or the Stabby into aggressive follow-up, not aggressive opener, has yielded panic point control. Now, we imagine a lot of these 1 keys are going to go down trivially. I mean, obviously, right? Now, this is pretty cool because, as I mentioned before, this is kind of like one of the puzzles where it pulls the Cassowary onto the point. Now, the Cassowary is absolutely going to eat it. It might have been worth... Like, I don't know if it would have been better killing it with something else. The Cassowary represents a lot of mobility, and it can somewhat easily eliminate these 1 keys because it can leap onto it and then follow it up. Now, at this point, this is an enormous amount of pressure from blue player. Like, this is a small map, so yes, it's only 3 panic points, but when you control all 3, we're talking 675 damage. That is a humongous amount of damage that's coming out. And it's not really something that you can commit into. While this Contortio is going to die, this cat could die, we're not seeing a lot of stuff that is, like, we're not seeing a lot of stuff from Orange player that will allow them to finish it off and then reclaim the points and continue to hold them. We see the AWOL follow-up here. Both players are going to have 5 keys. Orange player is going to have the first act with those 5 keys. We'll have to see. If Penne is an S tier, I won't resub. I gotta do that. We need to get one more sub and then we'll do it. But Penne is gonna be pretty high. It's gonna be pretty high. So we do see a Cyclops follow-up while our orange player banks to 8 keys. So this is a bold move given the amount of pressure that was on them Because while they control the point briefly, they're just giving it up again. So the question is, what are they banking to 8 for that's going to allow them to reclaim all of this? The Clinico is online for a heal. The Stabby is not in danger of dying, so they can just tank the poison for a couple more turns and then heal it off when they're prepared. The AWOL's in position to just reclaim points. The Cyclops, in conjunction with the Stabby, is just solidifying this defensive position. What is the 8 key that's coming down that's going to flip the table? I'm just not seeing it at this stage. Okay, it's a Dozer. We saw a Dozer earlier tonight, and so far we might be 2 for 2 with the way Dozer's going. But Dozer is pretty slow, obviously with only 1 move, but it does push a huge amount of damage. And given that we do have a Stabby that is going to have to get eliminated, it means that a hit from whatever to kill it allows you to reposition due to the dimensional nature of that phobie. Additionally, Cyclops is also dimensional, so again, killing one of these pulls the slower units from our orange player forward. But the orange player is on a clock. We're now at 3,400 health. Remember, you started almost 7,000. We do see another poison here. We got the heal out of Clinico, but they're basically on the same timer. So the Stabby's going to have to die for this to matter. The Dozer is positioning in order to try and take down their Stabby, which is, okay. I don't hate it. But we finally see what I was expecting to see out of the orange player earlier in the game, and that is a counter with other low-key phobies in order to both fight Gilbo's phobies as well as try and reclaim some of these points. Obviously, Stabby and Dozer are not exactly the most mobile things. They're not going to be able to get on these points and stabilize the rapidly depleting life total from our orange player on their own. They need some support. So we're seeing Eternal Night and Cat come out in order to do that. We also see this Cyclops lighting up Stabby. Now, Stabby is not going to die here, or actually it might with the AWOL help, which is actually very relevant because now, while the AWOL eats it, who cares? Like, AWOL is just here to do stuff, right? And we see an interesting reinforcement from blue player, specifically Baby Snaky and Gravedigger. The Gravedigger I'm not sure about yet, but we'll see if it comes into play. Now, this is strange. We're going to go back to the beginning of this turn because I was busy talking about the follow-up from Gilbo. So at this point, orange player has just barely over 2k health. They're taking 600 and change a turn. They cannot sustain this. They need to reclaim a point and hold it. Like, actually hold it. Now, what do they do about that? Well, they have an almost 4k health Dozer. What I would have predicted them to do was move the Dozer forward, hit the Stabby, and then finish the Stabby with either Eternal Night or Cat or something. But what I think they need to do was hit the Stabby, then hit it with the Dozer to pull the Dozer forward. Then the Dozer is in this position, so it's just south of Stabby. They can slide creep to cap this point. They would have already had the Cat or Eternal Night on the center point, so they're body blocking for the Dozer, meaning that our blue player has to invest attacks in eliminating that smaller unit before they can actually advance the Cyclops in order to hit the Dozer. And the Dozer, again, also has 4,000 health. It can just survive. Like, it's gonna tank a lot of this. It's not a big deal. And then at that point, they've flipped the panic points and allowed themselves to control 2 out of the 3 so that they're not continuing to take heart damage. But we'll see what they actually do. It may be a better play. I'm just highlighting all that stuff to throw out there what my thought process was. So instead, we see a reposition from the Dozer to supplement the Eternal Night and cap the bottom point with the Cat. Now, this is okay. The problem I have with this is that, as compared to my play, where we end up with basically the same position, so instead of Cat being down here, it would be Creep, or it could have been Cat. We could end up with the identical position, but we'd have a dead Stabby and a Dozer here. Does Dozer have an attack? Yes. Dozer does 696 damage at range. So Dozer could have hit the stabby at range from down here and blown it up. Because this thing was only at 291 health. Well, it would have been because it got hit by something. Like, it was at higher attack. But point is that you could have had the Dozer in a less exposed position, I think, or arguably similarly exposed. The only difference here is that, well, I was going to say that the Cyclops could have rotated down to where Dozer is now. Again, assuming Dozer's in between the cat and the knight, Cyclops comes down and then could hit the jar, but it won't kill it, so who cares? Like, that's irrelevant. I think that would have been a better play, but we'll see how the game shakes out. Maybe it would not have been a better play. So we would have had a slightly damaged Dozer here. Just keeping that in mind. Instead, we see the surviving Stabby go on to eliminate the Eternal Knight, soften up the cat so baby Snaky takes it. And now they've recapped all 3 points. Could they have recapped all 3 points? Possibly. I think the problem was if Dozer wasn't there, Red's Phobies could hit the heart. It's possible, but only Cyclops would have been in range. Like, they couldn't have walked up the Gravedigger. It would have been a Cyclops that was here, which would have been in range of their Dozer attacking anyway. You know, Gilbo could have moved something onto the middle point to body block or whatever. But this is a relatively vulnerable position with these two already out. And then something else possibly coming out. I don't know what 3 cost off the top of my head would come out and threaten it, but I don't think this necessarily got them anything. And they ended up giving up all 3 panic points anyway. I just love the boldness of Clinico coming up and smacking Dozer. Clinico's got a pair. Clinico has some guts. Some courage. Maybe it's liquid courage is what's inside Clinico. Because, like, it pops out with that satellite thing to zap you, but what you don't realize is that there's also some liquid courage in some of the other compartments. Just for, you know, certain occasions, we'll say. But anyway, we see... Whoa, that was a very quick animation. But we see Dozer soften this up. We see the jar take a beating, but, you know, that doesn't matter. And we see Creep try and stem the bleeding. Now, I think I respect this where it's 1-2 instead of 3, because you just need bodies to claim this stuff. Liquid Courage is how I play unfair, Luffy. This is all kind of expected at this point where the blue player just has every advantage. They can just lean on orange player, and there's not much they can do. Because look at this. How much health do we have on this heart? 500 health. This Murder Wing is not going down to this jar, and nothing else can reach it. They can't even kill the baby Snaky with just the attacks from this. And that should be the ball game, folks. Spending 8 keys for something without AoE is rough, yeah. Blue would have won if he stopped the Murder Wing with Dozer's ability. So we'll go back in, because that was something that I failed to point out, but I meant to say. So thank you, Troller. If we go... We gotta go all the way to the end of the game, so we're gonna skip forward. I mean, I think there were other plays that would have opened up the ability for our orange player to win anyway. So they had the ability... This would have been the only turn that they could have done it, right? Could they have done it this turn? No, because they killed the Cyclops on this turn. No problem. I knew what you meant, Troller. Or I was assuming what you meant. I might have just been completely off. So yeah, they don't have the ability here to get the Murder Wing, because they had no way to kill the Cyclops. Unless... Can this target through? No, it can't. It looks like it's a line of sight ability. They could have used Jar first and then Dozer. Yes, so that would have... Was it only one attack? Or did they have to hit it twice? So jar for 266. Yeah, so they hit, again, it's like the puzzle. So you jar first, soften it up, hit it with dozer, pull it forward, slow it. You'd have to do this in a slightly different sequence, because I think you do need to get the creep there. So if this is stunned, we'll say, it's going to kill this, because it's probably not going to bother targeting the dozer. Dozer counter kills it, possibly in conjunction with this. And then it's Clinico, Baby Snakey, and Gravedigger trying to hold these 2 points against the rest of these forces. The jar goes down pretty quickly. These obviously cannot contest these 2. So you'd have to find a way in order for the Murder Wing to go down without necessarily requiring too many dozer attacks. Because remember, dozer would be up here. So you dozer once, hit it with the jar, probably, that'll kill it. You dozer here. Well, actually, you can kill this with the cat, walk this up, and then walk dozer back 1. So then you're in control of 2 panic points, and it becomes Baby Snakey and Gravedigger versus an in-position dozer with a ton of health, Electric Cat, and Mopsy. Yeah, I think orange player wins from that position, or should. I feel like Gravedigger goes around and walls dozer away. It is possible, because Gravedigger has this up, so if you commit... It's difficult to explain this. Can I... Hold on. Let me see if I can do this real quick, chat. We might be able to pull this up at the same time, and I can... Because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having difficulty, like, holding all the... Well, what if they did this instead in my head simultaneously? Where did I put this? No, I'm not going to be able to set this up quickly enough. I have like a Madden Telestrator set up, but I don't have it set up in OBS right now, so. Could have spawned different phobies. I know his collection ball, there's that too. Later in the replay you are, the easier it is to spot a winning play. Really, the last 15 turns probably had bigger mistakes. The thing is that the later turns are informed by the decisions made in the early turns. Now, that could be... It's one of 2 things. One, it could be, yes, somebody lost some set of keys that allowed the other player to build this advantage, and then it rolled forward. The other part it could be is that happens, but because of a psychological effect, like we were talking about earlier with DT's game, where one player starts tilting or feeling overconfident, depending on who we're talking about, and therefore blunders later. While those decisions could still be made later in the game, they may or may not have happened as a result of the plays that happened earlier. Which I know, yes, time is linear, so like that's how it happens. But I think it's worth pointing out, it isn't solely on, you know, like, if we skipped all the way to the end of the game, that doesn't tell the whole story, I guess is the point. If you're going for an 8 key on a small map, you'll always have your heart dying or close to dead. I've seen the opposite, actually, because somebody has built such an enormous advantage, and then they just bank from there because they don't need to do anything. Like, in this case, I don't know if dozer is the answer. Like, I don't know what orange players' collection is like, but I don't know that waiting for dozer was the answer, because they did accept that they were taking a ton of damage, and they did have the opportunity, like we're pointing out. So, since my Telestrator option didn't really work, I can't get rid of this now, can I? Okay, there we go. So, if we imagine that is real, why are all these dots, all these circles on here? What is this? All these bubbles. But if we assume dozer's up 1, Murder Wing would have killed this. Like, it's possible to wall off the dozer, but you need 3 hits from Gravedigger, and I don't know that that happens. Because you could body block the Gravedigger with the lower keys and just force it to have to walk around, sort of thing. Yeah, to me, the biggest thing in this game was tempo. Blue had momentum the whole time, and Red never figured out a way to catch up. That's basically it. I don't know if it's they didn't figure it out, or they just relied so heavily on my dozer is going to take over the game. And I think that, they banked to 8, meaning that Hevo 3.0 was not online, but Hevo 3.0 could have turned this around because of the AoE. It would have caused a wildly different scenario. Other 8 costs, like a boss, we saw that in an earlier game, also has an AoE. That could have helped soften things up. I don't know that waiting for the 8 key was worth it. Obviously, I'm sure this player is kicking themselves to a degree of, well, did I really need to do this? Or maybe they realized the Murder Wing lockdown later. It's tough because you have to leave enough stuff to honor the baby Snakey who's going to be running around, because the dozer's not going to kill it in a single round of attacks, as we saw. So you have to honor the baby Snakey going back and recapping points. But at the same time, if the Gravedigger gets on the heart, it might be able to race. It's tough to tell in this scenario. Just because, again, I'm personally having difficulty visualizing. I need to set up my telestrator again in OBS so that I can get it on screen, at least for chat to see. But this was a really cool game. This definitely came down to the wire. Early on, I was wondering what everybody was talking about, because everybody said this was such a great game. It was so close. I'm like, one player's getting obliterated. What are you talking about? And I could see why it started to come back. I think they relied on Dozer taking the game. Yeah, also depends on how Blue plays in response. Yes, exactly, because when you are ahead that far, I know I've done this, where you're really ahead and it's you start to panic, similar to the other scenarios where you're under a lot of pressure, just the tables are flipped. It's I had this game in the bag, and now I'm letting it slip away. So do you panic move something, or you miss something because you're not thinking correctly, and as a result, you're one turn shy. As it is, the other play that we were talking about didn't end up happening, so we see how it goes. But this was really cool towards the end, and definitely gave us a lot to try and explore here. This is a pretty cool idea. I didn't put any big boy phobies other than Cyclops. Cyclops, I don't even know if that counts as a big boy, but he is pretty tanky. Or relatively tanky. And the meatball for the W. If I hadn't beaten them through panic point captures, I would have lost. Yes, but I think that's kind of axiomatic. The reason I say that is because that is what that aggressive strategy kind of wants to do, right? You're going to bully the panic points, lock them down for as long as you can, and just push a ton of damage. A meaty victory. I like that. I like that. A meaty victory. It sounds like it should be a Campbell's Chicken Soup commercial or something, right? I currently get that I'm doing really well. I must be about to lose moments. Well, I mean, you're also on what? Like, you might still be in single-digit quantity of games, Doc. I don't know how many games you played at this point. But yeah, this was a cool game. I think there was a lot of things that were relevant for people to look at. Now, as I understand it, chat was saying that Jelly might have already done a review of this game, because this was from Jelly's event. So if you're seeing this on YouTube after the fact and you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the official Phobies Discord. There's people constantly posting links. I don't have the link offhand, or I should probably get that. But you could check it out. Hit up Jelly Belly. And check out their Discord, because they have a separate one to try and organize these events. While I'm doing Fright Night, there are other content creators that are putting this together, so shout out to them. Want to make sure that they get their due. This is a community effort to try and get all this stuff up and off the ground. Hevo 3.0 and Stabby were banned here, which is kind of improvising. Okay, cool. Yeah, while we're waiting for this to load, would either of you guys...
Let me get the recorder.
Okay, would one of you guys mind describing what the rule set is for anybody who's in chat or watching this on YouTube that isn't aware of what was going on going into the games?
Okay, so this was our first tournament ever. This was like our test tournament. So our rules that we came up with for this one was single elimination, best of one. For the map that you choose, each player gets one map ban, and then players can either mutually agree upon a map, or they can have one of the mods in our server randomly select one for them. And then we also had Phobies bans. So each player gets 2 Phobies bans, and then neither player are supposed to use any of the banned Phobies.
Okay.
So you can ban out your own Phobies too.
Now, did players get to see the other player's collection, or was it just pick a phobie out of the entire cast and you can snipe that one?
No, we didn't. We didn't have them post their collection, but we did have them post their in-game profile. So in case your opponent wanted to scout you, they could.
That's fair. Okay, cool. So that's pretty interesting, having all the bans, and I think ultimately long-term, and admittedly part of this is stalling for time, so let me know when you guys are ready, it's going to be beneficial, whether it's on the phobie ban side, or it's on the map side, or both, or something else like that, trying to split a lot of and solve a lot of the problems that are presented by the current system until we have an official tournament client, or mode, or however you want to refer to it.
Yeah, and we just we didn't want to expose players' collections just in case they had like a hidden strategy, you know?
Fair. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
Cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes sense. I think it's definitely reasonable to start that way. I'm pushing on stuff on my chair. That makes a lot of sense of how to proceed with it. All right, so we're good to go. So, do you guys want to just let this rip and we'll talk over the whole thing the whole time, or do you want me to pause on certain turns? Did you guys already look at this game?
I have not viewed this game at all yet.
So we're going in raw. We're going in regular.
Take the lead since you're the one streaming.
Pause on turns.
I don't actually know what that was out of the other thing.
Oh, I think he said pause on turns.
Okay, pause on turns.
Key plays.
Okay. So we're going to jump in. Again, this is from Jelly Belly and Troller's event. So we're jumping into RCO. We have our blue and orange players loaded in. And we have a more standard opener than the stabby opener that we saw previously. That we saw from Gilbo on another map on a game we watched earlier. And you guys tell me, this feels like a common response that I've seen, or a similar one to what I've seen on this map. It's not necessarily the positioning out of Gilbo that I've seen a lot, but really Cat and Cassowary and then either bank a key or a 1 key is kind of a toss-up. Is this what you usually see out of players when you're playing, or from the event as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard since there's 5 panic points.
Well, we
really
do have some control players.
Control.
You're saying that you had some control players that were doing something different?
We see Rapture. We kind of have the slow roll. We really see Rapture going full aggro and not banking keys, either summoning the Razor Mouth or a Cassowary. And so really we're seeing 2 aggro players.
Absolutely, yeah. We've already seen, at least while I was streaming tonight, that Gilbo does seem to favor this, where it's guns a-blazing off the bat. But as we continue, it seems to be a somewhat more defensive posture here, picking up their own pocket panic point while capturing the bottom one, but somewhat ceding the middle. And then, of course, we see the obvious Cassowary play and the cap on the middle. This is... I mean, backing up the way that Gilbo did, I guess this is what you'd expect. And now we kind of have, like you said, the 2 aggro players going at it, and one of them has clearly established a more dominating board position. Is the K9 follow-up what you guys would have expected out of this, or is this something that... You said that Rapture here has proven to be an aggressive player throughout the event. Is this basically what you've been seeing the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing too special about how he's playing. This is pretty typical.
Now, are you saying that's typical for the player, or typical for... Oh, God.
I would have preferred to see a Jar Cannon here.
Fair.
Just so we have a definitive line of the 3 phobies on the panic points, and then that Jar Cannon really providing that additional... Because it's kind of a nombo unless you create a choke point. For the 3.0 to really do anything. That's
fair. Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's going to be interesting given the follow-up that we're seeing now with the Murder Wing that was in position on the pocket panic point, taking down the Cassowary, quote-unquote, for free. It obviously wasn't, given that the 1 cost was given up, but that's pretty trivial. So the aforementioned jar does come out to play. And while Rapture does have an enormous panic point advantage, it is now quality of phobies are favoring Gilbo, unless you guys would disagree.
Quality of phobies is definitely favoring
and we
Gilbo.
definitely see that. And especially Rapture retreats.
Right.
Definitely a...
Yeah, it's ceding some ground here. Now, granted, they banked to 4, so there's enough there that something, maybe a Gin Sting pops out, but it's not going to reach. Obviously, the jar from our orange player is still available, so they can probably commit and maybe get this cassowary, depending on what the numbers are like. The meatball is still live from our blue player's Murder Wing, so it's possible the K9 ends up trading out here. I don't know, this feels pretty even, and it's just, we're going to be battling, we need a couple more turns to decide, essentially. I don't necessarily, and again, unless you feel free to jump in if you disagree. To me, I can't really, we know how the game ends, but I can't call it right now, if I didn't know.
Yeah, both players have a good position, and definitely we're going to see a lot of pressure on that castle.
Absolutely. I don't expect that thing to make it out of the turn unless something bizarre happens. We get the defensive positioning from the Murder Wing, and a follow-up is this Flopsy? Flopsy. I think you can only tell by the pinwheel hats, because the one has a bow, one has a pinwheel hat, and I don't know what the other one has, and then obviously the
other one has socks on its head.
Oh, it has socks?
Yeah.
That's actually hilarious. I'm telling you, I love the jackalopes, but, I know I'm pausing on each turn, but I want to make sure you guys can get your thoughts in on what's going on. So I expect we're seeing a very quick... Oh, that's a snowball.
Like using flop.
Go ahead. I was getting excited by snowball. Go ahead.
This is definitely a really sad thing that happened to Gilbo here.
This is about to get real unfortunate real fast.
Yeah.
But somebody was saying something about Flopsy. Let's finish that thought, and then we'll talk about what the unfortunate situation that's about to occur.
Really like using Flopsy to protect the flank from the cassowary, but we're just going full head frontal assault right now.
Yeah, this is a full-fledged invade, and there isn't really a clean way to punish this, I don't think. Now, having not seen the game yet, and you guys have mentioned before that this is the first time viewing it, obviously this cassowary is going up in smoke, almost literally. The Flopsy could come in, but, I guess they could fly down with Murder Wing and then pop the snowball with a jar, but then they're going to trade out Murder Wing. Is there any way you see a reasonable response from Gilbo other than, get the hell out of here, all my stuff is going to die?
I'm getting the feeling all my stuff is going to die. Yeah, this is why it's important to scout your opponent beforehand, because whenever I go against people that are level 40 on small maps, I always play around if they have snowball.
Very good point. A very good point. It's something that I have learned the hard way on my climb on the regular ladder is, snowball is in fact a thing. And I'm sure there will be more stress level unlocks that are going to do things as I climb up the ladder in the same fashion. But snowball being that combination of cheap key that has a unique movement set and unique ability set definitely will catch a lot of people by surprise. It's having another jar that can just pop out of the vault. Gotta expect a snowball surprise, as chat's saying.
Definitely will see kind of Yeah, we'll see snowball be high tier in meta play for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I can't see snowball not having a massive impact, but we have to allow the snowball to continue. And then we see the big V formation with the cat to reclaim the points. So now Orange has recapped the majority of the points in a dominating position, I would say. Maybe dominating is a little much, but it's a strong position. Now we see a lot of effort
sacrificing the Razor Mouth for control.
Go ahead, sorry.
But the razor mouth sacrifice isn't too bad, just to secure that weight.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think a lot of people miss. Maybe not early on. If you first start out with Phobies, and I don't know if you guys encountered this, but it's okay, I obviously don't want to lose my Phobies, right? So I need to protect them. But then you start to realize that, oh, well, certain sacrifices, if you played chess, if you played Go, if you played whatever strategy games, the goal is not to win the game with the most Phobies on the board, or win the game with this Phobie on the board. I mean, maybe if you have certain quests, but the game is to win the game. So whatever it takes, maybe that Razor Mouth has got to, sorry, buddy, you got to get out in front. You're capping that point, and apparently a jackalope eats cats. I didn't know that was a natural predator for cats. I don't know if you guys knew that. I didn't know that. I learned something new today. I watched a lot of Animal Planet as a kid and Discovery Channel, but that was not one of the episodes that I recall.
Well, I don't think they ever had
Jackalope is higher on the food chain.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, it's the Halloween episode. They have Shark Week in the summer. Why can't I get a jackalope episode at the end of October? Come on.
Yeah,
exactly. Somebody get on this. Somebody get on this.
We gotta have the zombie apocalypse.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, let's not do that for real. I don't know if I really want to do that.
Week, man.
Zombie week.
Zombie week.
Somebody out there who's watching this, make it happen. I know somebody's playing Phobies that knows what we're talking about. But anyway, so we see the cat go down. We see all this stuff happen. And then we see the reinforcement here from Gilbo. We have 4 keys on our orange player's side. But since they have the majority of the panic points, and I didn't pause it quick enough to stop the Contortio, but what do you guys think? Like, what do they do in this position? Would either of you play defensively from here? Do you keep diving? We have 5 Phobies on the board. I mean, one of them's AWOL, but we have 5 Phobies on the board from Gilbo. Like, how do you feel about this?
I'd reposition slightly and then just bank keys, because we're kind of waiting for Gilbo to come back onto that panic point. We can play more reactive than proactive here.
I'm with you there. Yeah, at a certain point, I mean, by definition, Gilbo has to advance. Can't play defensively if you're just going to lose the game in the long term. So I'd agree with that. That's why I'm curious where this Contortio play is going, which I paused it mid-movement, like mid-front flip. So this seems bold.
Oh, what?
But that's actually pretty cool, though. I didn't expect that.
3 movement doggo.
Like that.
Of the snowball is in there.
That is a super cool move. Which, yeah, I didn't think. I mean, I guess you guys agree. In my head, I'm like, well, he can't get in there and do anything, but just sniping the flopsy, get it off the board. Don't have to worry about it. And we follow up with the always fan favorite Sucky. Everybody loves Sucky, right?
I don't know if Sucky's too good. I think Sucky's kind of bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not actually a huge fan. Sucky is kind of a meme on my Twitch channel. So, because there's somebody that shows up like every stream and says you gotta use it. So shout out to them, that Sucky's getting an appearance here.
This is for you, Sucky fan.
Exactly. Look,
I don't know why Gilbo spawned Razormouth there.
It's gonna do some work.
Yeah, so the Razormouth came out, the K9, I didn't pause it quickly enough, the K9 came out to recap the points, so we do have control ceded back to Gilbo with the remaining 6 keys banked notably, and 3 in reserve. I gotta come up with a better nomenclature for those, but I guess banked in reserve will be what we're using for now. But yeah, this Razormouth feels like it's not doing anything. It's gonna die just to the fireball. I don't know.
Yeah, could they have even killed the K9 with the focus?
Yeah, I think those were.
I don't think I can go back. I don't think at the beginning of this turn this was a healthy K9. So if they came down and fireballed, then they flew over and meatballed. That would have been 420 plus 558 plus a leap.
And then the fire dam.
Yeah, so they could have.
Oh, plus a leap, yeah.
Yeah, they could have got it. So I guess the body block here was to protect. Well, it didn't matter. Did it? No, they could have. They could have done it anyway because the snowball comes down here, fireballs.
They could have gone in the front.
Yeah. So that The cat just seems like a donation here, I guess.
I guess it was to protect a flank from the back because they didn't jar cannon. Well, no, you push the snowball.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that. And we'll pause it here so we see the whole scope of... Because the other part I'm confused about is... Okay, so they kill the cat. I guess the cat, again, is free. Because you get the fireball, nothing's exposed. Yes, you're down panic points, but who cares? You have time. If you committed to kill the canine, you're losing your murder wing. Like, you're trading your murder wing for their canine, so who cares? Kind of thing. It may not have been worth it, but...
Out of all the things I see, you're either trading your murder wing, or your snowball, or the sucking. It's one of those three.
Right. I would imagine Gilbo would have gone for the murder wing. That seems the most threatening, possibly snowball. Sucky is... I don't care. I don't know. Maybe Gilbo values Sucky differently. Yeah.
It literally sucks.
Yes.
He do work.
So, I mean...
I'm on the Sucky fan.
Yeah, the one Sucky fans, shout out to them. It's like, if like the wrestling signs that you always see doing the rounds as memes, somebody's holding up a Sucky sign at one of those, and you're going to see it on trend on Twitter or something. And that's why. I don't know. But,
hey, bro, I'm all for the Murder Muffin opening. Turn 1, Murder Muffin, let's go.
Murder Muffin? I like that. But as it stands, as we close out this turn, we're looking at Electrocat, which I'm guessing is just well, it's not an arbitrary one drop. It is relevant to beat up the K9, and then it'll do its sacrificial job of capping the middle point. I still feel Rapture here is in a pretty strong position, Sucky aside. But do you guys feel differently? Do you think this is Gilbo's game to lose at this point?
Rapture's definitely up in keys, I think. Just looking at the board state, because he's got Snowball 3, Murder Wing 3, Sucking 2, Electrocat 1, and Jar Cannon 3.
Right.
So that's like 12. Gilbo's got 6. So he's got quite literally double the board presence.
Well, Sucky aside. I have to keep just pointing that out, but yes, I definitely hear what you're saying. Now,
Sucky doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like
the number are champ.
But Gilbo does have a bank and general key reserve advantage in 9 to 7, which admittedly isn't as much, but it is something to consider. We'll see. I guess we'll see how this plays out. Obviously, the cat goes down for freezies. No, we weren't expecting anything out of that at this stage. Instead, we see the K9 on K9 violence here.
I see what you did there.
So the K9 goes down, the Snowball goes down. We do get some cheap jar hits, and we get a Maggie follow-up. That seems strange to me, given that there were 6 keys banked. So I assume, and you guys will have to tell me if you saw it in other games, but why is Gilbo banking to 7 keys? Is there a specific phobie that you think pulls him back from this position or dominates this position?
I don't think so. That Maggie spawning was really weird. Not too sure about that.
So the only thing I could think is the Maggie to hypothetically try and snipe the jar. Because
I don't think Maggie does enough damage to kill Jar in one hit, right?
It does not. It's actually 3 damage, or no, 3 damage short. It does 517, and the Jar is 520 health. So if that was Gilbo's plan, that's a sad trombone moment.
Yeah, I think banking to 9 would have been way better
he's
because
able to send his own jar.
Yeah, Jar plus Maggie can do it.
Send his own jar cannon into the fray.
But then you're trading probably like Jar and Maggie.
Jar for a jar.
Yeah, I think you'd lose both on the counter hit.
I think if Gilbo retreated and then banked to 9
you gotta watch
keys,
the crackback.
and then next turn spawned Heavyo 3.0, the game would have been much different because Rapture has a bunch of low-cost phobies on the board.
Yeah. Now, I believe Hevo was actually part of the bans, because we did have Gilbo in chat earlier.
Okay.
I'm trying to check real quick. Gilbo, if you're there still, let us know and I'll update. I think that Kivo was part of the ban. So if that was the case, even then, I still don't know that Maggie is really what you want. It does, like we were just describing, complicate movement because the combination of Jar and Maggie means that there's a wide range of things that are just dead on the spot. But I don't know. Seems like this one's questionable. But instead, we get a little sucky action getting in there, leaping on the K9, which goes down. The Electric Cat recaps the point. We get an unbearable follow-up from Rapture, which I personally love on this map. Are you guys big Unbearable fans, or you're not a fan of the 4-cost lobber?
I don't have Unbearable, but he can be really irritating.
To me, a lot of the time he comes out...
Good Phobie.
Oh, go ahead.
Especially for this position, you know, yeah, it's like a one-turn, but once he's in the fray, you know, he's going to be really hard to beat, especially since Gilbo kind of...
Yeah, Gilbo's in a rough spot trying to push through this. I mean, this is a 2100, almost 2200 health Unbearable. Doing over 400, I mean, it's 454, but over 450 damage. Gotta make it sound like Billy Mays. It's a big boy.
And it's undead, so every time it attacks, it's going to...
Yeah, it looks like Gilbo's in big trouble now.
Definitely, we may see this bear...
This is a tough spot to come back from if you're Gilbo. You've given up the panic points. I mean, you guys were just saying it, but to reiterate it, you've given up the panic points. You don't have any obvious ways to necessarily snipe keys right now, you know, of the remaining major things. You have 7 keys. Your opponent only has 3. It's possible that a big phobie, say a pterodactyl or something, comes down and makes your opponent's life difficult. Because you could snipe, say, the cat, and then leave them with Murder Wing, Jar, Unbearable? I don't know. We'll see what big follow-up Gilbo has.
I find that the problem with Pterodactyl on this map is there's too many obstacles in key positions.
Very true.
You want to fly him over, and if you die over an obstacle, you don't get the resurrection. Absolutely.
No, you're absolutely right there. It was kind of, honestly, it was the first 7 cost I thought of. That was the main reason I said it.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Gilbo's collections.
So we do see the quick pickup. Oh, we do see Pterodactyl, so okay. I should go buy some lottery tickets. And then I can do Phobies full time. But we get the counter hit here, I presume, onto... Well, we get a hit, a meatball onto the Maggie, which is interesting. And we get the reposition by Unbearable. Obviously, Jar finishes off Maggie. I'm assuming... Yeah, Meatball's on cooldown, which is probably why we saw that particular play. And then we see a Gesundheit follow-up with a newly dead, specifically Ted. I think it's Ted, right? It's Ted. I can never remember the names. It's Ted and Jill, right?
Ted and Jill.
Gotcha. So we see this is now, okay, I don't know about you guys, but this seems pretty bold. While it's an 1800 health Pterodactyl, Meatball is offline. Yeah, I guess he can't do any damage because he's going to kill this Jar. So it'll be 900 plus another almost 6. And
I
then
believe that he'll kill the Jar and then this Pterodactyl will die next turn from the Unbearable, Gesundheit, and Murder Wing, right?
I don't know if he has enough to walk on it if he hits it.
Carry.
Yeah, the bear is definitely the carry here. I absolutely agree with that. So the Jar snipes the Jar. There should be enough damage to kill the Pterodactyl, but maybe I'm counting this wrong. You guys, you might be right.
I think you're good.
I mean, you get some cheap shots on here. And the newly dead repositioning.
Do you mind hovering over the Gesundheit real fast?
So they wouldn't be able to step and kill the Pterodactyl.
And then hover over the Pterodactyl?
Because it would...
Oh, yeah, okay. They don't have enough damage to do it.
Yeah, it was...
Step on it.
It was just shy. Yeah, if they sunk everything into it, I think they kill it, but then nothing in position to actually finish it off. Now, they clearly can't... Gilbo can't leave it there. Now, the complication here that I'm sure you guys noticed as well is that since Rapture has their own resurrection phobia, it is going to be somewhat of a challenge for Gilbo to actually address this and safely reclaim points. So Gilbo can't take the middle point with anything because it will die to Unbearable or Unbearable plus Murder Wing. The Ted will be able to claim this point, and if they commit with anything, Gesundheit and everything else is in range. It just feels like the inertia is still, I think, on Rapture's side, unless you guys disagree.
No, it definitely is. Those resurrection phobies at the end of the game like this are really powerful. It's unfortunate I don't have any resurrection phobies yet.
I've heard similar complaints, similar refrains about a lot of different stuff. What was that? A lot of momentum?
Right. Yeah, even if you poison them, like you poison the resurrection phobies and they still come back. So
They do. While the poison sticks, which makes it kind of amusing that they just croak every turn, but they do come back and they still survive and tank through a lot. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I think that there's a lot of inertia on Rapture's side. Now, they elected to reposition here in a very interesting way. We do get the snipe on the jar, but I'm guessing they counted this and there's no... Yeah, this has 1100 health. There's no way for them to kill the bear, which is the big thing. At this point, I guess the writing is on the wall. But this is a pretty solid game. Like, this is pretty cool.
Ah, poor Gilbo.
Yeah, it was rough to go out like this, but this is a pretty cool game.
Big beefy bear bullies Gilbo.
Big beefy bear bullies Gilbo. It's even funnier because it came through the text-to-speech thing.
Right.
I think that's
Gilbo. It was the bot.
It was the bot. The bot is against you. Oh no! So we see the aggro player in Rapture, I guess, coming out and just going, "I'm going to take all the panic points," as opposed to like trying to position to dive the pterodactyl, which I don't know that it really matters either way. But obviously, this locks up the game.
Yep.
The animation when you take over 1,000 damage feels brutal. But we close out the game in the more...
Stepping on the pterodactyl with a murder wing.
Yep. How does that work exactly? I guess it can land. Murder Wing does have little feet, so I guess it can land on it. I don't know.
I think
Seems a little
Murder Wing
weird.
just flaps his wings and blows the bones away.
See, that's a good idea. You spread it to the 4 winds. That's how you defeat the undead, apparently. You just scatter the bones.
Yeah.
That sounds really significantly more morbid than I had it in my head. But...
It's kind
Can't
of
come
cool.
back to life if they're all in pieces all over the place.
True. It would make it very challenging, or it would be a very, very uncomfortable eternity.
Kronos in Greek mythology.
True. A fair point.
Right,
It does have
You
precedent.
just chop them up.
It has precedent in mythology. So gentlemen, this is a pretty cool game.
Archamp, thanks for swinging by, bro.
No problem. I'm
Yeah,
happy.
yeah.
This
So,
is a lot of fun. We should definitely do more of
We'll
these.
have to have you back.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Oh, for sure. Probably we could do some more recaps. We do have a sign-on going on.
Yeah, so we've got 2 separate tournaments going on right now, and we were kind of wondering if you wanted to collaborate on this maybe sometime in the future. But we have 2 leagues set up, one major and one minor. The major league is if you're above stress level 25, sum of all fears, or blue belt within our ranking system.
Mm-hmm.
And then the minor league is below stress level 25. And we've kind of done that to close the pay to win gap for certain players more.
Makes sense.
We found that it's more fun when they have an even chance in the tournament, and like you're not just some, I don't know, level 15 player going against a level 40 player and you get blown out in the first round.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's actually a good way to split it, and I've seen precedent for that in other games, granted with other criteria, but it's definitely something that exists, and I think it's a cleaner way to address it in Phobies. I mean, I guess the debate could always be, well, what is the stress level for the break, like whatever that break point is, but it's got to be set somewhere, so peg it at something and then go forward from there. But yeah, I would definitely be interested in helping you guys out. And
and that's one thing. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's one thing we wanted to make sure, at least for the prelim games, we pair like levels. And we did see blowouts when like a level 19 was going against a 32. And so,
as one might expect,
not, a really fun game for both players.
Agreed there. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to try and tackle this, both for short term, like single day, or maybe not single day, but a tournament setting versus a league setting and different things like that. There's a lot of ideas that will float around until we get first party support for this sort of thing.
Yeah, we're trying to.
But yeah,
we're trying to grow this this tournament thing and start up our own replay channel so we could get some coffee from the devs to give away in tournaments as prizes.
Awesome.
Yeah, we were also trying to figure out how we could do this ourselves with like a donation pool, but we found that translating currency, it has a fee, and we don't really want to do that, and it just got really complicated trying to give people coffee that are in other countries, which we have a very diverse community here. Everyone's off from all over the world.
Mm-hmm. That is really, it's an important factor to note that Phobies has taken hold all over the globe, which is really awesome. But while awesome, it does introduce complications, we'll say, exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, that all of that sounds enticing, which, by the way, chat, anybody that's out there, anybody watching this on YouTube later, if you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know how the hell you made it this far and don't know what we're talking about, but there's a number of events going on. So where can people find the events? We've been talking about it and obviously broke down this game, but where would they go to find you guys to actually like try and sign up for this stuff if they weren't aware of it?
So we have
they would just need to join our Discord.
Yeah. And within the official Phobies Discord, if you go to Content Showcase and you scroll a little bit up, or you use the search bar and search for Phobies Fight Club, then you'll see our link to the Discord.
Perfect.
Yep.
So there you have it, folks. If you want to get involved in some Phobies events, have some fun, and it doesn't matter how new or experienced you are at Phobies. There's obviously now getting a setup for multiple different experience levels, stress levels. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's also a link on most of the tournament videos that have been posted on my YouTube channel. So that's Jelly with 2 1s, and then you should type.
Awesome. Sorry, I was just answering some questions in chat because they were asking who the guests were because they were tuning in late. But yeah, if you're interested in these events, come get involved because it's absolutely, and I've been on the ground floor for a number of different games, both digital and physical card games primarily, but it's definitely a more the merrier scenario. The more people that are involved, the more fun there is, and it's just a we saw a snowball in this game, but it's a snowballing effect of once things start get rolling, they build on themselves, and it definitely helps everybody involved to get this stuff together. So I appreciate it, guys.
I think that about wraps it up. Thank you for having us on your stream.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jilly.
Archamp, I'll also post an invite link in chat for everyone if they want to join.
Okay, cool. Well, it'll eat. You might have to send it to me because it'll eat the link if you're talking about in Twitch chat. It'll eat the link by default. So yeah, just send it to me and I'll repost it. I think Jelly might have sent it to me.
Thanks.
But yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for coming on. Definitely a lot of fun. It's going to be cool when we get this up on YouTube. Hopefully there's a bunch more people joining the channel, which, by the way, go check it out. And hopefully we can get together for more of these, because this I've done this before, and I always say that it's fun, but I always forget exactly how much fun it is. Like, getting back into it's like, yeah, I want to do more. I want to do more. So, but thank you guys, and shout out again for running the events. All right, gentlemen, have a good night. A lot of chops in the chat. I like it, because we might be finally ready to play some games. We did try playing one earlier, and then our opponent DC'd. It's like, well, womp womp. We'll jump in. If anybody else has any others, hit me up in Discord. Naturally, we get right back into it on my most despised map right now. Well, it's tied with Lights Out. It's tied with Lights Out. So we're going to do our usual opener. I don't think this is a stabby opener map. Our stabby enjoyers in chat, you're going to have to let me know. Alright, Zach, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Take it easy. I hate this map. I just don't like it. Everything just feels so awkward. Certain phobies absolutely dominate. I'm trying to think, because the games I've won have basically been on the back of Hevo. 3.0 specifically. Someday it will be your favorite map when you see the light. Maybe. Maybe. That day does not seem to be anywhere close to the horizon at this point. Oh, I get the tactical advantages of wide open spaces, but the problem is you don't really have a wide open space here. So, you do to a degree. You do to a degree. And the reason I say that is you can, you know, set up your concave here. But, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it. So we could try and get Hevo online early, but I don't think we necessarily need to. We're now 2 turns away from getting Hevo live. But I think this is okay. We could arguably send a 1 to the middle. It'll just end up dying. Now, if they walk up and blow this up, I don't think that hurts anything. I think we're okay here. Well, they can't blow it up this turn anyway. Just wait till you get that one guy with Fire Amp with Baba Yaga on this map. Stepping on traps will become unavoidable. Well, I did play against somebody with... I forget... It wasn't Baba Yaga. But basically, they trapped up this whole center spot, center area, because both of us had used Gravedigger to blow up the centermost obstacles, and we lost the game just because we randomly stepped on a trap. I'm high risk, high reward, win big or lose. Fair. Fair. Yeah, exactly, DT. Exactly. You know, I never noticed the panic points extending like this when you stepped on them. I'm sure I noticed it and then it just didn't register with me. But, like, this is kind of cool. There's a little effect here. So that's a bow mangles. Which means that the cat stepping on here, it's going to get incinerated. Maybe in the future there'll be a trap phobia that gives disease when the trap is triggered. We have poison ivy now, so that gives poison with the trap. I'm sure that will be the case. Like, that seems like a fairly obvious one for them to add. So we can't step on the point here. Or can we? Yeah, we can, because they can't hit it. This is a weird murder wing position. Because they can't hit our jar, right? This can't hit it. Their Gravedigger came out later than ours, so there's no way they can break this. Unless I'm, like, completely whiffing on this, I don't see any way that they can kill our jar. We could do a 3. The reason I say we do a 3 is so that we can get our Hevo online. Because we're starting to get to this part of the game where it's just... we choose our sides. They'll break the wall. And I don't think their break is online. Yeah, their break is not live. That's what I was saying, Troller. I thought that was what they were going to do, but they just don't have it right now. Now, I have to be cautious of that now. Oh, maybe I don't? So they can hit it with the... Yeah, they can get in with Murder Wing and then pop it with Jar, which is what I was worried about before. But yeah, Gravedigger ability, because theirs came out later than ours, and ours was still on cooldown. So they're going to try and bully us off of here, which I guess is okay. So let's say they... 5, 10... Wow. This is a very high-level Bone Mangles. 5, 10... 12. They could kill this Stabby right now. They could hypothetically kill Stabby. But I get the sense this is going to deter them to a degree. You're back, Gilbo? Welcome back. This might be aggressive with the Stabby, honestly. Like, they might just be able to snipe it. And then whatever they kill it with is... Like, they could kill it, get the last hit with the Henrietta, and then just walk onto the point, or get pulled onto the point. I don't know. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Gibbo. We'll iron stuff out. I mean, some of it was tech-related stuff. So, you know, it happens. I've run a number of podcasts and stuff in the past through Discord, and Discord sometimes just has issues. Now, part of it was my podcasting partners insisted on using their iPhone for a lot of it instead of, you know, sitting at their desk. So they're out walking around, and it's like, okay, well, when you lose Wi-Fi, it disconnects. When you reconnect to Wi-Fi, it disconnects. When you do a bunch of other stuff, it has this problem or that problem, and it's like, it's fine. Hey, Christopher, welcome. What's good? Welcome to the party. Alright, so why are you doing that instead? I guess they don't want to get hit by the Hevo, which is fair. We're going to walk this back and send a Clinico in. Nice to see viewership spike during the collab portion because it went from 9 to 18. Nice! That's good. It is sometimes weird because Twitch doesn't update viewer numbers very well. It isn't always... This doesn't seem like what you wanted to do. Like, I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't think they can... Well, they can walk up, they can do that with Jin Sting. Yeah, Free is right. I don't know about that. That seems like... I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but that seems like a mistake. If we go up here... We kind of have to go here. I want to keep it in range of this, but they can still move this up, break it, move Jin Sting up. Like, we could set up to punish them if they do that. And maybe that's what we want to do instead. How big is their jar? Well, their jar took a little bit of damage regardless, so we could snipe it, hypothetically. We could also get... I think we want to put Moffat in play, so that way we can start, like, semi-bullying them here. We're just going to take this. We're going to take that and force them to do something. I got tired of my trap not triggering, so it spawned Rambolina to boop them into one. That's awesome, Luffy. That's why Fire Ant is so good. Lob Trap. Yeah, Fire Ant is super good. Okay, did we lose this for free? I think we lost this for free. Because they can move Jin Sting and this. Okay, maybe they can't. 1, 2, 3. Okay, they got it with that. I didn't... Oh, maybe not. Oh, it was just enough. I clicked on this and then couldn't remember how much health we had. So that was a Gravedigger that we gave up for no purpose. hate the animation time, so annoying. I've never played a game that allowed you to turn them off. It would be nice, but, like, I don't know. It's not the end of the world. So they can still snipe the jar if we put it on the stim, because they could break this middle one, move Ginsting up to get line of sight. I think we bank here? They're gonna retake this point. Game. So I think we do this, so we can at least get some cheap shots up there. I want to reinforce with something, I just don't know what. Maybe it's our own Ginsting? Maybe we go Murder Wing. This allows us to get a 7 next turn. This is somewhat bait. Like, they could hypothetically go in and kill it with these two. No, they can't kill it, so they'll never go in. I don't think there's any way they can punish this. We're gonna go with this. What's 7, though? I'm probably gonna match with my own Pterodactyl, honestly. That's my problem with traps, though. They rely on enemy choosing to trigger them intentionally or not. They need to do something about the time limit. Bigger maps mean more plays, more time needed. I think there's an argument to increase the time, and then there's an argument to just leave it alone, because both players are presented with the same amount of time. So it's just, okay, player, play faster. Whether the time is reasonable is a relevant discussion. I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. Part of me says it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. Part of me says, no, we should do something. I don't know. It's not a big deal to me, for the most part. I like the animation and the skill effect in Phobies. It's just really good. Like, Thunder Rock spawn animations just came from the sky, though. I do like the animations. If you eliminate... I think what they need to let you do is cancel the animations. Like, if you just start clicking on things, and you can queue up actions. But you can't do that right now. Because there is a pause where you just straight up can't interact if you start doing stuff. Like, once I queue up an action, I can't just immediately start another action. I know we said we were going to 7, but we're going to do this. We're going to do this so that way they can't just move it up and splash. So they go here, they can't hit it, they do that, that's fine. If we go here... So we can back up 1 and still pull. Like, if the erratic moves up, we can still pull it. I don't think they can punish this. I remember Hearthstone, you'd sort of queue up actions. Exactly, Troller. Like, if they allowed you to do that, I'd feel better, because right now it annoys me when it's like, okay, I figured out the play I want to make. Now, there's the argument that it will just cause players to continue delaying stuff. You know, like, you still just wait. Or you think longer on turns, and then you still run out of time, but I would rather if they allowed you to at least queue up the actions and be like, okay, well, it'll continue. I don't know. More time would be nice. Weird solution to punish people for being able to play and make decisions faster, though. I mean, that is the purpose of Arena, right? You're making the best plays within the time constraint. It's like playing speed chess. You can queue actions in Phobie 2, but not many, and it doesn't always work. That's the thing. The inconsistency of it is the big frustrating part for me. Like, it's a super inconsistent behavior. So I guess the fix is a chess clock. You're just obsessed with chess clocks, Atona. But, I mean, chess clocks wouldn't be bad. I don't think it works with... Like, honestly, the big issue, and obviously I'm not on their team, I don't know how the tech in the background works, but this feels as though this is a function and a drawback of the technology. Arena games are essentially async games. I don't think the game client treats them any differently. So that's 3, 7, 10. It's not going to be enough. They can't hit the jar. They could hit this, but they can't hit it with erratic, which is the one we care about. Moving you up to break the block accomplishes nothing. We kind of need to leave the spider here. They have way more keys than us at this stage because we invested in the pterodactyl. Arguably, the pterodactyl could have gone here, but it would have just died. I think we just allow this for now. Part of me wants to go Flopsy, but the problem here is if we send Flopsy, it's just going to get blown up and then stepped on trivially. Plus, we don't want to put something on the center here because that does allow Erratic to splash onto the Hevo at this stage. Now, one drawback of this setup is because we put this out, I mean, we were going to do it anyway, but we have no way to heal Hevo at the moment. And maybe we should have positioned the spider differently. Because if we had the spider here, we could threaten the pole down here. But then we couldn't threaten it on erratic. We're kind of stuck with it in this position. Hopefully it'll get better next time they break all the replays. I hope they don't break all the replays, but I've played plenty of games where the replays just break after a platform update. It's not absurd. It's not, like, unexpected. This is bad. This is pretty bad. What do we do here? So they're going to kill the cowbell for free? I think we're in a tough spot. I don't like our position here. We don't really want to do that. This is kind of bad because the jar is just going to step on the stem and blow something up. Yeah, we probably need to seed this. We should have retreated towards the top. Like, maybe cap the middle, retreat towards the top, and try and overload the Sparky. Because, like, we're taking free damage on this for no reason. Lost 2 games in a row to animations. That's rough. That's rough. I've definitely thrown games as a result because I just couldn't get the actions completed that I wanted to in the time that I needed to, but... I mean, that is the price of Arena, right? Alright, Onda, have a good day. Or good night. Not sure which part of the world you're in, but I appreciate you hanging out. Thank you. So we could hypothetically dive the Jin Sting. I don't know that that's a good idea. We could pull this, and then we lose the pterodactyl. Okay, we're not going to be able to pull it. 9 in the morning? Alright, then have a good day. You're living in future. You're living in the future compared to me. Only reason I have a problem with animations is that there's no value added to the game by having them. It's called fun, Luffy. Why do you hate fun? What is it that you hate most about fun? Is it the fun? Because it sounds like it's the fun. I'm losing, I can't play the game tonight? Why not, player? What's going on? Like, what are we... How do we do this? Sounds like freedom. Your spider has pulled nothing? Yeah, it was zoning for a while, but now it's in a weird spot. Now it's in a weird spot, and we have to move because we can't allow... this other stuff to connect. So we could bank for the Clinico. I don't know that that's what we want. I don't really want to go droney here, but I'm tempted. They still have 2 keys. We're going to threaten this top space. Like, we're going to get Flopsy in position. We maybe should have sent the Murder Wing up there. Oh, I see what you're saying, player. That's not great. We're just slowly losing this position, I think. We're just slowly hemorrhaging this position. And because we spawned the Flopsy, that means that this is gonna get... I mean, it's already gotten chopped down to size. I don't think it dies if this... So this is, what, like a little over 1,000, probably? Maybe 1,100? Because they could hypothetically send the Sparky in and then jar over the top. Actually, they kill it because they could send... Maybe we bait that, though? Like, maybe we allow them to do that. So we do this. Because the idea here is that they... If they move this up... Both of these are really bad. So they kill the Hevo by sending Sparky in, sending Pterodactyl in, and this. They could also just blow this up with Gravedigger, which is what they're gonna do. So they blow that up with Gravedigger, and we're in trouble. We can't put anything in range of that. Like, I think this is fine, so if they advance this, we can kill it and step on it. They already used bees. We got the AWOL online, because what else are we going to get? They have 2 keys left. We'll see. I mean, we're pressuring their heart. They're down to 3,700 health, but I don't think we can hang on to 4 points much longer. They're obviously going to be able to cap the bottom somewhat trivially. They can just do this, too. They could have a droney, but that's not going to be able to step on it, so we'll be able to retreat. But again, we're giving up this point. They could next turn claim the top and the bottom here. Ooh, Cassowary, that's a pretty good one. Cassowary's pretty good. So obviously Flopsy is getting the hell out of here. I'm not sure what they're setting up for here. I mean, I think ultimately they just want to set up a Gravedigger play. They want to blow up one of these obstacles while they have something on the stem and then just annihilate our team. Which, again, is part of the reason why I want to rotate to the top. So maybe we just take this turn, shift everything up, we'll still cover this, and then we can supplement Flopsy, hypothetically. Because the Gravedigger cannot get to these upper obstacles. Bees will be back online, but that means they need to step into the line of fire. I mean, they could bees and hit with Sparky. Wait, 1, 2. Okay, so we can't. You have to come back. You can go here. You can go here. Here. So they could leap onto Murderwing and then hit it with Sparky. And we can't necessarily punish that. So we send the Spider here. So if they go in with any of those, we get them. We are giving up the bottom point. Obviously, they can take it for free. But all we care about is maintaining the majority of the panic points and then trying to isolate something. If we can get ideally Erratic, but possibly Sparky, we might be able to bully them from there. We'll have to see. Small community kind of already learning people's names online. Well, once a lot of the people that started out, like, they were at the beginning for Phobies, if they climb the ladder because, you know, experience and collecting stuff aside from people whaling the game, you're going to end up ranking up with those people mostly evenly and then playing them a lot. I could definitely see the game swelling out at the bottom, like people getting in, and you're just not going to see them if you're in the higher leagues, which that's how it should be, right? The Gravedigger is now in position, which makes this awkward because we have to spread out again. Okay, Sparky's no longer in position, though. I'm not sure what they're doing here with this. I guess just getting ready to recap the mid. So we just have to make sure that we can annihilate whatever goes on there and then put Flopsy on the point. They've stabilized the damage they're taking. It's no longer like 700 a turn. We just don't really have a good way to set up a concave here, I don't think. So if they break this, they'd have to be here. They move this up, splashes, they hit with this, they hit with this. They might be able to kill this? Question mark? If we move this up, what does that mean? They should not be able to hit the Hevo with anything. Like, neither of these can connect with it. Well, actually, now it can, because the pterodactyl's on that spot. If we move it here... If we move it here, they should not be able to connect with it with anything but maybe Jar. We don't want it in Jar range either. Because Jar stepping on the stem, it's not going to kill it, but it's an enormous amount of damage and means that Hevo will die anytime it goes in. So our opponent's under 2k. They have to go for this soon. On a different map, well, I mean, we'd need wildly different positioning too, but I would want to try and make a play for the heart. I don't have the foggiest idea why they did that. Like, yes, you can run up this way, but, like, I don't care. I don't know. Like, why break this one? This means Pterodactyl is in range to hit their heart, so, like, they have to kind of honor it. This guy can go here, and then hit 1, 2, so we can't be in these spaces. I don't know that this is what we want. They can cap this point somewhat trivially. I'm hoping that this is enough to entice them to, like, split something off, but I think even if they just send Erratic, this turn alone, it's enough to push me off. I don't think we can kill something that sets foot on the point, depending on what it is. Now, they are at 1400, so, yeah, the Erratic comes back to defend, which makes sense. It depends on how much they commit up here. If they commit hard, we might be able to send the Pterodactyl down and just fight the Erratic, because it's doing 500. We don't have to do a ton of damage to their heart. This is in range of the Jar, but that's kind of irrelevant. Alright, so this is coming back. They are, for obvious reasons, they are concerned. And they should be. This was kind of what I was afraid of. Because we cannot kill this efficiently. We might be able to get it with the spider pull. If we go here, pull this, we can't reach it. So we do this. Game. I'm trying to click off here. Like, they can kill the Murder Wing. We need to keep the Flopsy in range to recap the point. Like, I don't think we're actually going to dive the heart. We're just going to try and fight over the points. Now, pulling back like this means that they can just kind of collapse on us from two sides, which is... It is what it is, but they do get to absorb less damage from the Hevo. You can't dive our heart. Like, even with the damage output you have, it's not enough. Now, with the pull offline, it... Clearly, we're presenting way less threats. Like, we're just not as dangerous. But they're sub 1200 health. What I think we're going to have to do is, like, commit the spider. If they move the pterodactyl up here, I don't think they can kill... Well, they might be able to kill the spider, because this is 4, 6, 7, 11? Nah, they might not be able to kill the spider. With the pterodactyl here, they can. This is obnoxious, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so they didn't want to expose this to any potential hits, which I don't blame them. So it'd be 5, and 8 is 13, and 4 is 17. So what if we did this? No, that won't work. So we need to recap this point to... Like, we need to try and end the game, not lose. Which are two different concepts. Not losing versus winning. We unfortunately don't have Meatball online, so if we walked you... Maybe we do this. They have bees, I assume. Which means that we might lose all 3 of these. We're definitely losing... Yeah, we're going to lose all 3 of these, I think. This probably was not good. We possibly should have just sent the Hevo down here, because we only need like 1, maybe 2 hits. I think we just dive. I'll post my vid of our collab later tonight. Quality of video might be a bit scuffed due to my grainy internet. That's fair, Jelly. That's fair. Getting anything out there, like, having something is better than having nothing. So, like, getting it out there is important. There are ways to do this, even with less than ideal internet. There are ways to still even do a collaborative effort, because it depends on how much time you want to spend editing, basically. There are ways to tackle it, but it would just take a lot of effort to make it function, essentially. Yeah, you have to do this. They were trying to avoid losing the Jin Sting, but I don't think there's any way they can do this without losing the Jin Sting. Love the community, keep the party going. We're gonna try. That's what we're in for. Alright, so we hit this once. We hit you once. We can't hit you once. We have to meatball you. We should be able to get them. I don't see how they stop us at this point. They're not going to kill our heart. They can't kill all our phobies in time. They're down to 700. I think we got him, chat. I think we got him. I don't know. I could be wrong, but Sparky just seems awful. And I really thought Sparky was going to be better. Like, I thought Sparky was going to be a thing. But Sparky seems... And this is not a knock against our opponent. Sparky just seems not worth it. GG. We got him, chat. GG. That was a solid game, I think. That was a solid game. Like, we reacted appropriately to what our opponent was doing. So that way we weren't... You know, we didn't overextend. We didn't fall for an obvious trap. Not trap phobies, but, you know, like them setting something up. We knew what they were trying to do. We reacted to it and just forced our advantage. They definitely had more opportunities, though. I was a little surprised that they didn't try and, like, recap the top points, for example. They took 700 a turn for a while. What's my rank? I am in Sum of All Fears. I am ranked 21 overall on the ladder. Almost top 20. We're hanging out in Sum of All Fears 1, trying to make our climb, see how much better we can get. There's a week left. There's a week left, so we might be able to get the next 100 games. Oh no, we're at 102, so we need 66 more games. I always look at this and think that that's how many games are remaining, but that's not the case. That's how many we played. It's possible to hit this. We're probably not. We're probably not going to hit the gold one this time, which is, you know, disappointing, but that's okay. That's okay. We're obviously not hitting this reward. I'm not doubling my quantity of games. This one I'm less concerned about. This one I'm a little upset about. But I don't think I'm going to play 60 games the next 7 days. I just don't think I can get those in. Real life stuff, you know. I've done enough async that I've hit the monthly reward? Fair. Wait, you mean the seasonal reward or the weekly reward? There is no monthly, Doc, unless I'm confusing something. Monster Monday. Yeah, I think Swiss is probably where things want to go. I mean, you and I can talk more specifics. I mentioned it earlier after we finished the game review that I need to read up more on what the rule sets are for your future events going forward. I think Swiss is good. I don't mind knockout brackets. They are cleaner, and I think it's more obvious for a lot of people, but Swiss has a lot of benefits. But if you're going to be doing leagues, it may alleviate the need for it. It just depends on what the community wants. I've mentioned that the main reason I lean into Swiss is because that's the background I have from playing card games, playing chess, playing that sort of stuff. Season is 4 weeks, so close enough. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's exactly 28 days, so it's not going to begin and end on the months, which seemed weird at first because, you know, a lot of other games tie their rotations and things to the beginning of a new calendar month, but every, like, a 4-week cycle is also just as clean. It just so happens that it then ends on, like, it'll end on a weird day sometimes. Which is not the end of the world. Like, who cares? That's not really the important thing. Alright, let's see if we can get a W, chat. Oop, almost lost my chat. So we're back on The Floor is Lava. I think that's the name of this one. And our opponent opens with Sucky. That's a thing you can do. Now, Sucky is a very sturdy phobie. So, like, I kind of get it. At the same time, I kind of don't. So they can claim these two. They'll be at a panic point advantage. They can actually claim the remaining 3. So they do the same thing. They murder wing, move their stuff up, and then they're... Wow, they're not going to do it. Okay. It's a Gravedigger. That's interesting. I'm not sure why they wanted to do that. So they can trap our cat here. Will we die if we take this point? 370. So you leap and end up here. You do 6, 740. Yeah, we probably die to a jar, right? We probably die to a jar. Do we want Stabby? I guess Stabby can control these 2 points. Now, they can move up and just trap our cat, and there's nothing we can do about it, so we're donating 1 key, and then they eventually take it back. But, like, okay. Sure. I mean, they do block it in like this. Like, that's the appropriate thing to do, I think. I don't know that this aggressive cat push was worth it, but we're trying it. I mean, we can trade cats if you really want. I imagine it's more valuable to you to maintain the cat. Now, they can represent a fair amount of damage on this point. We can't advance with Murder Wing because it's probably going to croak. Meaning we have to put Stabby here, which they were obviously anticipating, right? They have 4 keys. I kind of want to get Jin Sting online. But we're going to have to bank 3 or hold on to 3 just for the purpose of a Clinico. They should not be able to get the jar, I don't think. So, like, they can move up and leap. It's not going to do enough, and they can't reach it with this. If we put it here, they could reach it with creep. So, obviously, the spit happens here. I mean, that was going to happen. We can actually kill the creep now. Moly Bully will not be able to represent a threat to our board. And we're even on panic points for the time being. But we're going to have to sack another 1 key to reclaim this. I think we just kill this while we can. We could bank some keys. Like, we could go Flopsy and then get our Jin Sting online, hypothetically. We could alternatively send Droney in, but it's just going to die, and I don't really want to do that. We could also get a 1 key prepped. Like, having to get this stupid Clinico is annoying to me. I'm gonna go with the Cassowary. We have some time. Like, we'll probably have to Clinico next turn. So this thing does have its break back online, which could be relevant. Jar is somewhat fragile on this map. They do. They can actually kill this. Like a jar plus Moly Bully hit is actually enough to kill it. If we send in the Murder Wing, it's still enough because it'll be like 870 damage. We have max Phobies now. Ugh. So the cassowary is going to have to get sacked for this, I think. I don't really like this. This is way less than ideal. I mean, I guess this technically still tanks everything. You know, like, they can't get to it and hit it twice. They did bank to 6 keys. That's concerning. I haven't seen too much Moly Bully. It's weird, because I feel like I saw it a lot early on, and then haven't seen it since. They're retreating a bit, but we're even on panic points. We don't have any way to really advance efficiently. I don't know that I particularly like this stabby position. Like, we might have to just pull it back, but the problem is that we're very clustered here. They banked to 7. Really? I don't know about this. They could break this, and then, like, none of this matters, I don't think. I don't really like our setup, but we might as well bank. They banked pretty high, and we have max Phobies, so it's not like we're playing anything. So what do we do here? Like, how do we... I guess we could possibly pop this at some point. Oh, no. The Scatty. That's real bad. I mean, that obviously takes Stabby offline. I don't know. We can't even really soften it up. It has 2,000 health. That's interesting. I mean, I don't hate it. We're now committed, because of this, to... I mean, I guess we could break it eventually, but we're kind of committed to trying to win by just eliminating Phobies. Now, this does have to come into range of our Stabby. So, like, we'll get it eventually. And trading Stabby for that is probably worth it. So it'll be, like, here. It's just a matter of how much more do we have to trade. They're going to cap this point with this. This is 2,000, so that's 800. Like, I don't know. How much does this do? 287? So it's not going to, like, one-shot the jar or something. I don't know. I mean, we banked enough keys that our follow-up could be, like, Kivo 3.0. And because of the size of the map, we could just drop it somewhere really close and then possibly bomb their whole board. Is that really going to happen? Probably not. Yeah, so this was obviously going to occur. It's just a matter of how much more we can put on them. Now, if they Clinico and heal this up, we could be in trouble. And we're still in the position where we can't play anything yet. So if we do our almost 900 here, 1,400, we can kill it, but we're going to lose a lot in return. So we're clearly... Wait. Do we want to kill the... No, we just don't care about Sucky. We're going to ignore it for now. So we're going to lose the Murder Wing. We're going to lose the Cassowary. We're not going to lose the Jar yet. Or the Stabby yet, rather. But we definitely lose these two, because Gesundheit kills this. This will kill the Cassowary. They will recap the point with whatever. Poor Sucky, everyone's dunking on him. He's just... We'll say less than stellar. Less than stellar. So I think we still traded positive. We're still +1 key on this exchange for now. We will be -2 keys when the Stabby goes down. But, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that right at this moment. Yeah, they obviously back this off. And then whatever they summon probably goes on the point, right? What are you doing, opponent? What are you doing? So we could run our Hevo right up in there, and then we have it. We're going 9-1. I mean, that's not awful, I guess. Now I'm gonna have to start using Sucky all the time just to prove it could be good. I mean, I'm sure there are scenarios where it's playable, but I haven't particularly encountered those scenarios at this juncture. This is kind of all in. For obvious reasons. So they move this up, hit for 6. These are... So that's 1,000. This moves up. They could break this. That doesn't get us anywhere. Get them anywhere, I guess. Like, I don't know that Hevo's what we want, but now we have to protect Clinico in order to ensure that the Hevo is alive. Because we're all in on this. No, it sucks. It's right in the name. Fair. It's not like you've been looking for those scenarios either. I mean... Sucky might have value somewhere, I just don't... I legitimately do not know where it is. Like, honestly. It seems to be, okay, it's a tank, which is all well and good, but it doesn't seem to be a valuable enough tank to justify it. I think we're gonna go with aggressive Stabby, because there's no point in not going aggressive Stabby. I don't know about that one, Chief. Like, you get this point, but... Okay. This guy's dead. We're gonna kill him trivially as well. Like, they might be able to dive and, like... Yeah. You can't do that. This is gonna die anyway. If we move the jar up, they could hypothetically leap on it with this. I highly doubt they will, but it's possible. I mean, I think our opponent is in a pretty good position compared to us. This will tank the disease, but I'm hoping that they interact with it. So that means that they will end up taking the damage. I like this map, but it's really easy to lose control. Yeah, there are some weird things that happen with this map. There are definitely some weird things that happen with this map. We were talking about it last night. It is seemingly the only map with an even amount of panic points, which is notable. Like, every other map you could, like what we saw for the last few games, just sit back, play a more defensive position. This one, you could have an actual stalemate. How was I able to bang for Hevo? Because I literally could not play Phobies. I had 5 out, and our opponent refused to kill them because they were waiting for Stabby to die to the poison. So, as a result, we just ended up in a position where it didn't matter. So we can now go here, and they can't get to us. Point being is we can soften some of this stuff up. Because this will die. This can't do anything. This can go here, but it won't be able to leap. You can't... If you blow this up, it doesn't matter. You go here, you could leap onto this. Like, I think we preserve this. So they could break this and kill it. No, we can't do that, because then the jar dies. We're either losing this guy or jar, because they could pop this over the top and then hit our jar. That would be really bad. This is not great, but I guess it's okay. Like, we have to just pick them apart. See, like, this is not good for them, because we're going to blow up these two. These are not enough damage. Oh, they're going to... No, you don't want an opponent... No! Not like this! Not like this! What is happening? Why are they just giving up? Did they forget this has AoE? Not like this! They must have forgotten at AoE, or they're just accepting defeat because, like, poor K. Honestly, I've won 2 games on this map. I think I've only played it twice so far since the rotation, and I'm pretty sure I've won both games because of Hevo 3.0. Now, did our opponent have another option? I'm not sure. So they may have just accepted, yeah, I can't ever close on the Hevo, which is possibly true, but yeah, that one was over. So that'll do it for this stream, chat. That'll do it for this stream. As always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.